All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Live from the Chair with Big Money Exchange. I am Anthony Wagner. I'm the executive producer, going solo for just a few minutes until our host gets done in a previous interview. And our co-host, Big Money Dodge, is on assignment. So, without further ado, Major Glory, welcome to the show. We appreciate you taking time out this evening. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Thanks for having me. I'm a pro wrestler out of the state of Colorado, a relentlessly patriotic individual, and currently part of a tag team chasing glory.
Very cool. Okay, so let's just get right into the questions. Who were your wrestling heroes growing up?
Oh man, I was a really big fan of Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, when I was a kid, was larger than life. I remember my older brother had a poster of him on his wall with the ripped T-shirt and everything from us going and seeing him live at the Denver Coliseum when we were kids. And I always liked Hulk Hogan. I always liked Macho Man Randy Savage. After a little while, my parents didn't really let us watch the product because of the Attitude Era and everything that was going on there. But when we did sneak peeks at it and stuff late at night, I was a big fan of like The Rock and The Undertaker and Steve Austin.
Very cool. Let's see here. So what was some of the best advice that your trainer's given you? And do you still use that training or the advice today?
It's hard to pinpoint just one piece of advice that they've given me. All of my trainers have been giving me nothing but great advice, from knowing your move set and being able to talk with vets and let them know exactly what it is that you do know and what you can do, to all sorts of things about how to protect yourself in this business and stuff. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint just a single thing that any one of my trainers have taught me.
Very cool. Okay, so we like to ask a lot of top 5 questions, so we're just going to go ahead and start the top 5. Your top 5 male wrestlers of all time.
Ooh, that's a hard one because there's just so many great ones out there. I would say Hulk Hogan, obviously. I don't think there's a certain era of Hulk Hogan. I've just liked Hogan throughout his whole career. After that, I would say probably The Undertaker. I really always loved his theatrics, loved him even when he was the biker taker. Always loved the amazing moves that a big guy like him could pull off. I was always a big fan of Kane, especially in 2002 to 2003. Kane was always super entertaining. Let me think here. I would say The Rock, just because The Rock is so charismatic and the athleticism that he could pull off in the ring was pretty astonishing and entertaining all at the same time. And then finally, I would say Brock Lesnar, and it's only because I've loved Brock Lesnar since he first showed up in 2002, 2001. Lesnar's always been super entertaining to me, especially the fact that he's just a genetic freak when it comes to being an athlete. All the stuff that he did in the UFC, I think he's probably one of the most legit bad men in professional wrestling.
Very cool. Okay, so let's flip the script. Top 5 indie male wrestlers.
Ooh, man. I don't really watch too much indie stuff. I know that's probably a little bit taboo of me to say. I am a fan of the NWA, so I don't know if we count the NWA as indie. But I've always been a real big fan of the NWA. I do like Trevor Murdoch a lot. I think that he's really underrated for what he has done. If we're going to go with past indie people, I would say Christian Cage when he was with TNA.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought Christian deserved a way bigger push than what the WWE ever gave him because I always considered him a main event character. Like he was definitely over as far as being a heel. Everybody loved to hate him. I would say Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's another one of those athletes that I don't understand why he didn't go further in the WWE just because he's such a talented individual. Some of the matches that him and AJ Styles especially had, or him and Kurt Angle, were just banger matches. Um, After that, I will say, and I know he's not indie anymore, but LA Knight, I'm really pulling for LA Knight. I think he's great. Um, what an amazing athlete! What an amazing promo! Like he's got the look, he's got everything. And another person that's no longer on the indies but used to be that I have always really enjoyed was Killer Cross. Killer Cross is definitely, hopefully, the next guy because he definitely deserves it as well. Just the character work that he's done, um, everything is amazing move set that he's got going on. Like it's perfect. The whole he's a complete package.
Very cool. Let's see. Let's go top 5 tag teams of all time.
Of all time. Ooh. um, Let me think here. I would say probably, and this might be a bit of a shocker, but I was a huge fan of Kane and the Hurricane. I thought Kane and the Hurricane should have gone a lot further as a team together. Like it was an interesting dynamic. Um, Definitely Legion of Doom. Everybody loves Legion of Doom. They had the look. They were legitimate badasses. Everything that they did, for what it sounds like, they were actually pretty stiff in the ring. So they lived up to uh, their kind of, I guess, legend that they had built up, their mythos. I'm a big fan of the APA. I always liked Bradshaw and Farouk. Again, I think that they were an underrated tag team. I would say definitely the Hardy Boys. Everybody loves the Hardy Boys. What amazing talent, especially the TLC matches that them and the Hardys, or the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys all had together.
Yes.
And then I'm going to have to go with the Mega Powers. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. It doesn't get bigger than that.
No, it doesn't. Okay. So what advice would you give to an up and coming or to a person that wanted to get into professional wrestling?
First, I would tell you to try and be in the best physical shape that you can be. When I originally started this back in 2020 at Extreme Gym, I was somewhat fit. Like I could definitely pull off a lot of the stuff, but I wasn't fit enough. And I took some time away because I had some personal things going on in my family life and stuff. And when I came back, I definitely felt like I was in a lot better shape, and it's helped me in many ways to be in shape.
Very cool. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do a fun one. What's your favorite snack or cookie?
I'm a Reese's peanut butter cup guy. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. It's my weakness.
Mine too, honestly. Yeah, mine too.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah, and our host and co-host actually love peanut butter too. That's the running joke. Usually, that's the way I normally lead into the question, but they're not here to pick on, so it's not fun.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Okay, so let's do top 5 female wrestlers of all time.
Ooh. I would definitely say at the top of that list would have to be Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus is not only amazingly beautiful, but she's just amazingly physically talented at some of the stuff, like especially when I watched her and Lita have their entire feud in like 2003 to 2005. Like that was some pretty amazing stuff. Always a big fan of Lita as well. Lita's always been one of my favorites. Some of the crazy moves that she would do and bumps that she would take is just insane for a female athlete to be doing in general. And she kind of broke down the barriers for that kind of stuff. After that, I would say I'm a big Alexis Bliss fan. Alexa Bliss she's pretty talented. I mean, she's got the creepy gimmick down, and she's got the cute Harley Quinn gimmick down. As far as like, I don't know, I would say Jacqueline from the Attitude Era. She was also one of my favorites. She was always super physical and just an amazing physique, especially the fact that they'd kind of put her in kind of a China role where she'd be brawling with the boys usually, or reffing a match with guys in it for a hardcore match, and she'd be getting involved in some form or fashion. And then Sasha Banks, I would say. Big fan of Sasha Banks. Bummed that she's not at the WWE anymore, but hopefully she'll come back.
Very cool. Okay, and I'd like to welcome in, fashionably late, of course, Mr. Nos. I'll have to dock your pay.
Well, you don't pay me, but I apologize for being late. The one we did before ran a little bit over, but
no, you're fine.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about your character. I saw some of your promos, which I love, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm also a big Hulk Hogan fan, so that's kind of the same vibe I got, when I was listening to your promos, was like the 80s, like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage type.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, definitely. I like the intensity that those kind of people brought to their promos, and just the larger than life character that they made themselves. Like when Hulk Hogan was cutting a promo, I don't think too many people were looking away. They were too busy seeing this guy hulking up and getting all big about everything that he was saying.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the Colorado Click?
Yeah, so the Colorado Click is a group of me and a couple of my fellow wrestlers that we work really well together. We all trust each other a lot. Apparently, it's not really something common that wrestlers hang out as much with wrestlers. I guess that's kind of an old school mentality, but we all kind of hang out and we're all there kind of for each other. It mostly started because we noticed that some people kind of take their gimmicks and their characters a little bit too seriously, and although eventually some of us might be heading in more serious ways with our gimmicks and stuff, we still like to have fun, pull back the curtain, and kind of be fan friendly in some ways, and at the same time looking out for one another. This business is a business of give and take.
That's awesome. I'm listening to another podcast you were on, and we interviewed one of your newest members.
Wasn't she the one that just recently got her belt stolen from another Colorado native?
Yeah, so, yeah. Urza. The almighty EMT, huh?
Oh, yeah. She was a great interview, too.
Oh, I bet. She's very, very bubbly, and what a character.
In fact, we were honored to be her very first podcast interview. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So, that's way cool.
Yeah. All right, Tony, go ahead.
I've been asking questions. You go ahead. I've had like 10 minutes worth of questions, so please catch me.
And I apologize if he asked you this one, but who were your wrestling heroes growing up?
Oh, that's not a problem. I was always a big Hulk Hogan fan. Obviously, love Hulk Hogan, love Macho Man Randy Savage. all those 80s characters, like I said, they were just larger than life and they were actual characters. To me, wrestling's always kind of been like comic books brought to life, like superheroes and stuff. So Hulk Hogan doing his thing and Macho Man, even the Ultimate Warrior. I would say Undertaker definitely has always been one of my favorites. I just love the mystique that he's brought to his character. Um, just how dedicated he always was to his character and the amazing athleticism for somebody his size to do some of the stuff that he did in the ring. And then I was always a big fan of Kane, especially when Kane had a mask, way before they unmasked him. I just loved the body movements, everything that he did, the nuances. Like, he had me believing a lot of that stuff when I was a kid. So, yeah, I'm always a big fan of those guys.
Very nice. I'd always be intimidated now to live in Knoxville, Tennessee, though, if he's the mayor. Can you imagine complaining about like the streets to that mayor? You're like, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I don't like the way the street is, and he's like, you got a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'd be backsassing Mayor Glenn Jacobs anytime soon.
So, rumor has it he has City Hall all pyroed and lit up, right?
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
That way, if he gets ticked off, he can do the whole pyro thing right in the middle of a board meeting just to get people to shut up.
Hey, that might be a good way to get him reelected, you know?
You just scare people to vote.
Yep, exactly.
Go ahead, Nate.
So, can you tell us how Chase and Glory formed?
Yes. So one night, there was a show before I had even debuted, and Chase and Nikki and I, and even Frenchie, we had all trained for a long time together. And I came to this one show just because I wanted to kind of pay my dues and help out. I'd never been to a Primo's show before. And so I was working the merch table, and I'm not gonna lie, I might have had a drink or two in me at that point. And Chase walked by, and it's like he didn't really know what they were planning on doing with him. And I know that he's a bit of a NASCAR fan, and it's like, hey man, what about making a tag team between the two of us? Chasing Glory. I was thinking because your name's Chase, and my last name's Major Glory, and he just loved it, and he pitched it to the bookers at Primo's, and the rest is history. And now it's canon.
Very
Nice.
cool. And we're going to be interviewing them here shortly too, right, Nathan?
Yes.
Awesome.
Chase and Nikki, yeah.
Awesome. The whole clique.
Yep. That's right. We'll have the whole clique.
So go ahead, keep asking away. I'm 10 minutes. I'm taking a breather.
By the way, and this is a question. It's just I love how your character pays homage to, or your guys' character pays homage to Dale Earnhardt. By the way, because he was one of my favorite NASCAR drivers.
Yes.
Well, I got to give all that credit to Chase, because honestly, I'm not a big NASCAR fan. I mean, I have nothing against Dale Earnhardt in any way, shape, or form, or NASCAR. I've just never really watched it as much. But Chase, he is truly, if that's a shoot, he is a NASCAR fan, and he is a Dale Earnhardt fan through and through. So,
Very nice.
Ammunition for when we ask him. Cool.
I was gonna say the same thing. So, since we're talking about tag team, what's your top 5 tag teams of all time?
ooh, I would say the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. Kane and the Hurricane, just because it was such an odd couple, but it made sense at the same time.
Yep.
The Hardy Boys were always awesome to me, just because I can't believe some of the stuff those guys put their bodies through. Let me think here. The APA, I was always a big fan of Farouk and Bradshaw. I just loved the aggression that they brought. And then Legion of Doom. Everybody loves the Legion of Doom with the big old pads and the attitude.
Very nice. And I'm not surprised you said the Mega Powers, considering one of the promos I saw from you today that made me really smile was when Chase was in the room and you like knocked on the door when you guys
Yep.
were going for the tag titles and you opened the door and you did the whole like Mega Powers handshake.
Yep.
I promise you that took me back to my childhood. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
That's awesome. I'm glad I could do that.
And before we continue this interview, I apologize if there's any fiastics in the chat. I am not responsible for that. Our co-host is now in the chat, and I roused him last interview, so I think it's payback time. So Dodge, before you even think about it, stop. Continue, Nathan.
I was gonna say, you probably know the person that he was razzing him about. He was razzing him about Pandemonium, so
Pandemonium, huh?
yeah.
What was what were they razzing me about with Pandemonium?
No. We're razzing you.
No. We're razzing our other co-host, Big Money Dodge, because there's no bigger Pandemonium fan on this podcast than Tony.
Other than
Colorado.
Other than people in Colorado.
Well, that's why I said on this podcast. Yeah. So I mean,
that's awesome.
No, much deserved love to Miss Pandemonium. Since we're doing the Colorado thing, much deserved love to Pandemonium, defeating Miss Rusame, who held that title proudly, may I say proudly, for the last year. And I'm so proud of Amanda for the changing of the guard. Same thing with Mr. Type 1 Warrior, and everybody's known and loves Mr. I Am the Provider in Colorado. Again, much love to the young talent that just swept Colorado Springs Wrestling.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So much love, and it's so nice to talk to a Colorado person who knows who we're talking about, unlike Mr. Big Money Dodge. There.
Oh yeah, no, I think it was awesome to see the Panda walked away and Type 1 walked away, and even Jack walking away with the victory over Ryzen. That was good awesome. Job, guys.
So, and we will have their due championship celebration coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. CSW
well deserved.
Roundtable.
Well deserved.
And we're even rounding in the old Carney.
Oh, I mean, he deserves due too. He got the TikTok championship. I give him a hard time and call it the Tic Tac though.
Tic Tac, yeah.
It's the Tic Tac championship.
It'd be funny if they put like a box of Tic Tacs with like a picture on that thing, like down in the corner or something.
All right.
Well, you know they can never put that title on Major Glory because TikTok's not very American.
Valid point.
Very true.
I hadn't thought about that until now, but that's a valid point.
That's right, Dodge. No TikTok because it's the family app.
Family
right?
app.
I'll just dog you on something else now. Okay, the family app guy. Go ahead, Nathan.
So, you and I have something. I was born in Colorado. In fact, my dad still lives in Lakewood, and I noticed you mentioned that in the other.
Oh, okay. Yep, I'm a Lakewood native, born and raised. Went to Lakewood High School. Graduated in 2008.
Nice. So what made you want to get started in professional wrestling? Was it something you always knew you wanted to do, or?
Honestly, I always felt like I really wanted to do this from a really, really young age. My parents went through a not so nice divorce when I was a kid, and wrestling was always a really good outlet for me to kind of get away from my woes in life or school or whatever, and just kind of turn off. And like I said, look at these larger than life characters that were essentially comic book characters come to life. And so, I mean, I used to spend hours playing on my trampoline in my backyard, just pretending I could do all sorts of moves, doing front flips and all sorts of stuff. Which, by the way, I don't do any high flying moves for a reason. So,
All right. Well, I'll actually ask that question because that actually makes sense. Where did you get the name Major Glory from?
so I got it actually from in Rocco's episode. I had said that I had got it from the Powerpuff Girls, which is only half true because mostly I saw it from Dexter's Lab when I was a kid. There was a superhero character that was the equivalent of like Captain America on their name, Major Glory. And I remember when I was trying to come up with a gimmick, just thinking of different ideas, and it's like, wow, Major Glory, that sounds like a really 80s wrestler name. Like, yeah, it's a superhero character, but it really sounds like it could be like, I could see Major Glory versus Sergeant Slaughter kind of thing, you know? Or so that's kind of where I came up with it, and I approached a couple people about it because I was a little bit nervous at first, just because I'm not a veteran. I'm not former military or anything like that, so I didn't want people to get kind of confused or think that I was doing something disrespectful towards our troops, because that's the last thing I'd like to do. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to pay homage to America in some way, because my grandfather was a Marine in the Korean War, and it just kind of meant something to me to be that kind of character. And I was always a big Captain America fan when I was a kid, so.
I can see that.
No, Dodge. He doesn't like throwing apples at pandas like you do. He likes panda. Didn't you just hear what the man said?
I do. I like panda.
Now stop making rude remarks in the comments and ask something professional, or get out of the chat.
That's what the man's panda gets a little fierce. So, how'd your finisher come to be?
Oh man, my finisher came to be because one of my coaches, Elias, originally told me that it's like, you know, you should do something that's kind of like a big knockout move. And so at practice, he wanted me to just immediately came up with this discus forearm, the spinning forearm. And he's like, yeah, I think you could call it Old Glory, and just lay it in real hard and do this big thing where you're waving your arm around like you're waving glory. And that's kind of where that came from. Although I think I'm going to change the name of it to dropping warheads on foreheads, just because it's a little catchier.
Ooh, I like that one.
That. Okay. Big Money Dodge wants to know, have you ever wrestled in Southern California?
I have not, but never say never.
That's true. And he's got connections too, so he can probably make that happen.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm not the Patriot villain that you needed, but I'm the one that you're going to get.
I like that catchphrase too. We can make that one work.
So, yeah. Who's the biggest opponent you've wrestled? So anybody former WWE, or the biggest name you've wrestled thus far in your career?
Ooh. I would say probably Rob Rison. I wrestled him at New Era as one of Duff Doyle's tag team partners as a stand-in for Duff. And yeah, took on Rison and Jason, and that was pretty awesome to be in there. Rison's a great guy.
And now, to catch you up, Dodge, Rison was the man that lost to Jack a couple of weeks ago. You know, he lost his title too. So yes, he's another face too. So you're gonna have 4 faces on the championship roundtable for Colorado Springs. So, you know, because you're a heel, why don't you take the night off?
I'm never gonna. Next time Dodge comes on, I'm not gonna get a word in edgewise. So, what was the best gimmick match you've ever wrestled?
Ooh, I really haven't had any gimmicks other than, I mean, if you would call a tag team match a gimmick, but other than that, I mean, they put us in a triple threat match for my debut, which that was pretty interesting. First thing I do, go out there and hit somebody with an American flag. So, hi, my name's Major Glory. Can I introduce you with some freedom? But but that, I would say that was probably the most interesting one that I've done, just because triple threat matches are tricky.
Yes, they are. I'm
It
sorry.
was more of a handicap match.
When you talked about hitting somebody with the flag, my brain like went right to like somebody on a microphone singing the Star Spangled Banner as you like hit somebody in the back.
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was one of the tag team champions of Primos at the time, Savage Saint, and me and Chase were all in a triple threat match, which ended up turning into a handicap match because me and Chase may have or may have not decided that we were going to just team up on Savage instead. So I decided I would use the flag first thing to try and gain a little bit of an advantage, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah, we've interviewed him too. Very, very interesting guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's really talented as well. Way talented athlete.
Okay, so worst injury in your career?
I haven't had one yet, knock on wood.
Nate?
Craziest crowd you've ever wrestled in front of?
Ooh, I would say probably the New Era crowd, only because wrestling in front of 400 people is pretty crazy. That's a lot of people to wrestle in front of.
That is a lot of people to wrestle in front of.
Then bring your Benadryl that day, not or Big Money, because Panda's coming to that show no matter what. I don't care if you're allergic to it or not. Bring your Benadryl.
Yep. And he wants to know how long you've been in the business.
I've only been in the business since February. So very, very short amount of time.
Wow.
Still trying to establish myself.
Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, best wrestler turned actor.
Oh man, Hulk Hogan, of course. I mean, get out of here with The Rock. Come on. Are you kidding me? Mr. Nanny? What was that? Suburban Commando? Those are the real movies. Santa with muscles?
There you go. I was going to say, Suburban Commando had two of your favorite guys in it. They had The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan. Plus,
That's true.
The Undertaker had the high-pitched voice. So.
Yeah, which is really, really funny if you think about it, just because the guy's always got that deep, deep, deep voice.
Top 5 managers of all time.
Definitely Paul Bearer is number one. Just the energy that he brought to the Undertaker when he'd raise the urn and stuff. Oh no! The high pitched squealing, and I mean that stuff is awesome. I mean the promos that him and Undertaker cut together, and just in general the way that he navigated the whole Kane situation and all that. Definitely Paul Bearer is number one. After that, I would have to say Bobby the Brain Heenan. I think that the Weasel, especially nowadays, seems a little bit underrated, but Heenan was always one of my favorites. You always wanted to see him get his comeuppance, and in some form or fashion, he always did, whether it was riding backwards on a camel at WrestleMania or just his plans blowing up in his face in general. Bobby the Brain Heenan is definitely a close first. After that, I would say definitely Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman again. The stuff, especially that he did with Brock Lesnar. No offense to Roman Reigns. Roman is talented as he is, especially the Bloodline storyline that they got going on. But I always liked Paul Heyman when he was a Brock Lesnar guy, just because Paul Heyman's always been a sleazy lawyer type, and I would say he's like the Paul Giamatti of of wrestling characters.
That's a good comparison.
Oh, thank you. I mean, he always seemed kind of like Paul Giamatti in that former fashion. And then I would say Miss Elizabeth, just because she was kind of the first prim and proper female manager, and just the way she presented herself and stuff. Even when Macho wasn't the most likable character, you just had to cheer for him because of her.
Completely agree. And as Big Money Dodge likes to say, that was the first. I've never met anybody else besides me that can do a Paul Bearer impersonation. So,
like I said, I was always a big Undertaker fan, so I mean, plenty of hours of running around my backyard and screaming, "Oh yes!"
that is very, very good.
Go ahead and ask another one, Nate.
So if you could book one dream match from any generation, no questions asked, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I would have to say Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I always felt like we kind of got gypped, because I feel like that was what the plan was after they brought Hogan in for WrestleMania against The Rock. I've definitely seen a couple interviews where they said stuff like that. But I mean, Hogan was the early 90s and definitely the mid 80s, and Stone Cold was 100% the 90s and New Millennium until he got hurt. So I just think, and unfortunately for Hulk Hogan, I think Stone Cold's going over on that.
I would agree with that. And we also got that earlier in WCW, but you could blame Eric Bischoff for that, because the plan when they brought Hogan in '94, when they had Harley Race with Austin, was for Austin to be Hogan's first opponent.
Oh, really?
But Bischoff didn't think Austin could get over the black tights and the black boots.
Yeah.
So.
How wrong he was.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's your goal in professional wrestling?
Honestly, my goal originally was just to debut, just to be a part of this. But since then, my goal has kind of morphed into, for me, the ultimate place to get to would be the NWA. I'm a real big fan of the NWA. I love everything that they've done with it since Billy Corgan took over. Even before then, I was always a big NWA fan. But to me, I know it might sound weird. I know a lot of people that say that you should shoot for the WWE and you should shoot for that star. But to me, it would be the ultimate thing if I could get booked with the National Wrestling Alliance.
Very cool. So
that
Nathan,
would be very cool.
So before you ask your next question, can we go back to our dream match? And can I book one?
Sure.
Yeah.
I know what this is gonna be, but go ahead.
I'd like to see Major Glory and Pandemonium versus Scarlet Rose and Killian Crow in a gimmick match with a dodge on the pole match.
I
The
knew that
dodged
was.
on the pole match.
And the
I, I,
stipulation is if Panda and Major Glory win, Panda gets 5 minutes alone in a steel cage with Dodge with a kendo stick. And of course, I would put over Glory and Panda.
Yep.
Awesome. I would definitely say we'd win too, but mostly just because Panda, because she's a badass.
So Nathan, you can go to your next question. And Dodge, I'm going to steal your line here, so you're welcome.
Let's see. Let's go with another dream one. If you had a dream tag team partner from any generation, who would it be and why?
Oh man. It's probably gonna sound kind of weird, but I would say Bradshaw. Uh, another
Ooh, yeah.
character I kind of molded Major Glory after was John Bradshaw Layfield. I really loved the plot twist that they did when he turned his back on the APA and on Farouk, and they kind of had him go in more of this. I don't know. He seemed like the philanthropist from the show Dallas at the time.
Yep.
And just the way that he projects his voice, it's kind of something I do when I put on the accent and stuff. I kind of mix a little bit of the Hogan energy, but I want kind of the southern draw of JBL, kind of just because I think it added to kind of why people hated him. I'm not sure why exactly, but I think that Bradshaw would be an awesome person to tag with. He's definitely a bad dude, big ex football player, and I think we could do some damage together. I think we
I
should
would
go for
agree
those
with that.
NWA USA titles that they got going on, those tag team USA titles.
Yep. You and Bradshaw against the country gentleman.
Yeah, there you go.
All
That would
right,
be a
Tony,
good
go ahead.
match.
That would be a good match.
Okay, so let's see here. We've done the Southern California thing, so ooh. All right, let's just do another top 5. Let's do top 5 commentators.
Oh man. Again, I would have to go with Bobby the Brain Heenan actually as number 1 on this, just because Heenan, especially in WCW, just some of the stuff that he would say, his one-liners that he would throw out there, just insulting the crowd and the humanoids. He's a wonderful color commentator. I mean, what a guy, what a character. After that, I would say good old JR, Jim Ross. Everybody loves Jim Ross. He's forever the voice of my childhood with the Attitude Era and with as much wrestling as I used to watch. And he always drew you in with his emotion and stuff. Like he always seemed like he didn't know what was going to happen next, and like it was actual live reaction as opposed to somebody that might know a little bit of something behind the curtain stuff. And then Jesse the Body Ventura was another one of them. Again, for some of his one-liners, all the stuff that he talked about Hulk Hogan, how much he hated Hulk Hogan. It always just made it entertaining to hear what the Body had to say about the Hulkster, and just hearing the way that he would talk to Vince McMahon. Let me tell you, McMahon. Like just the way that you'd hang on every word that he'd say. What a great guy. Then after that, I would have to say Taz. When I was a kid, I went to the Vengeance pay-per-view here in Denver at the Pepsi Center. I'm not sure what they're calling Pepsi Center nowadays. I think it's, I don't remember what they decided to call it nowadays. But anyways, Taz was one of the commentators there, and sometimes I'll watch the pay-per-view, and just some of the one-liners he had too. The insults that he would throw at Michael Cole, which were mostly well-deserved.
Yep.
because Michael Cole's kind of a nerd. He was great. Um, and then finally, I would say I'm actually really interested to hear how Big Show does um, as he continues being a commentator over at AEW. A couple of the matches that he did, I thought he did really, really well. I think he's got the personality for it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right, and Dodge has finally left us for the evening. Panda.
Bye, Dodge.
So his last question he chimed in with was, "What's your opinion on death matches?"
Ooh, on death matches. I definitely think that there's a place for them. I don't know if Major Glory is ready to participate in something like that. I wouldn't mind participating in something like some form of hardcore match. A ladder match in particular is kind of more what I would like to try and do. But I don't know. I don't really. I think that there's definitely room for the product. I don't have anything against death matches. Slave to the Death Match is coming up here in Colorado too.
Yes.
So
yes. we follow I Am the Provider, and I hear he puts on one hell of a death match.
Oh yes, he does. It gets extremely bloody, and it's a lot of fun though. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said earlier, as far as Major Glory maybe participating in a death match, never say never.
And Mr. I Am Provider, sir, if you get a Facebook friend from Evie Kiyoshi, book him. He is he is really, really, truly wanting to get involved in death matches. He was our interview just before Major, and he's very, very interested. I told him all about your death matches, so he might be coming and contacting you soon. So if you do watch this podcast, keep an eye out for Evie Kiyoshi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So go ahead, Nate.
And I wanted to go back to the Jim Ross thing. You and I have a lot in common, I think, for as far as that goes. He was I do commentary when I'm involved in wrestling. So that's the guy I patterned my commentary style after.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think he's really great. I think he's always kind of brings out the emotion in people with his reactions and stuff. Not to mention, he's got some pretty good one-liners too, telling people that they're getting beat like a proverbial government mule.
Love that one.
And of course, the slobber knocker. Everybody loves the slobber knocker.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So if you could book a WrestleMania card, who would be in it?
Ooh, from today or just all generations?
All generations. And let's go six matches.
6 matches. I would say I'd really like to see Hogan versus Steve Austin. I think that would be a great WrestleMania main event. So we'll start from the main event. I think that would have to be definitely for a championship, because it would just make it so much bigger. Before that, I would say, I know it's played out and stuff, but I always loved the matches that they had between the two of them. I would say Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. I was always a real big fan of their feud that they had at SummerSlam when Shawn had just come back from his injury in 2002, like the 3 stages of hell match, or unsanctioned match that they ended up having was phenomenal. So I think that would be a banger of a match. I would say for the women's, one woman wrestler I did neglect to tell you that I'm a huge mark for is Ronda Rousey. I loved Ronda Rousey and what she did in the UFC. I just think she's an all-around talented athlete. So I would definitely say for another tag team match, I love the tag team of Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. So I'd love to see them take on Lita and Trish Stratus. I think that would be an amazing tag team match.
I like that one.
Yeah. And then let's see here. I'd say Macho Man Randy Savage versus The Undertaker. I don't know if it really has ever happened. I don't remember seeing any matches when I was a kid of them in particular having like an actual feud that was like in the same way that Taker had with maybe the Snake or even Warrior. But I think Macho Man versus The Undertaker would be a pretty amazing match. And then another one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I said very much so. I'm just trying to think if they ever had one.
Yeah, I can't think of one that they have had. And then I would like to see maybe a 5-man battle royal. I know he's not a really popular star just because of the heinous act that he committed towards the end of his life, but I was always a big Chris Benoit fan when I was a kid.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, at that Vengeance pay-per-view, another thing that kind of added to Major Glory liking the whole patriotic gimmick idea was that was when they first had the United States Championship title, so they had a match between him and Eddie Guerrero. Just absolutely thought Benoit was an amazing technician. So I would say Benoit versus Kurt Angle versus Christian Cage versus Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. I think that would be a banger of a match as well. Make that your Money in the Bank match.
Holy cow, that's a nasty Money in the Bank match, but I love it.
Wow. And
Wow.
then just because I think everybody would want to see what would happen, I'd love to see Brock Lesnar versus Andre the Giant. I mean, I think that's a banger too. And then I think I got one more match that I got to book, and I would say probably be another tag team match. That's probably how we'd start Mania out. And I'd say Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero versus, man, this is difficult, versus the Hart Foundation.
Ooh. Very.
I think that'd be a bit. Actually, we'll throw one more tag team in there just because I think it'd make it interesting. And the Brainbusters. I think
Ooh.
Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, and I think that would be an amazing match. I don't know who would go over it.
If you don't mind, can I throw one old TNA, like a makeshift TNA tag team that I just thought of that would be amazing in there with all four of them?
Of course.
Petey Williams and Christopher Daniels.
Oh yeah, man. Christopher Daniels, Fallen Angel. That's awesome. That'd be a great match. Where's Triple H? Tell him to book that. I know the Eddie Guerrero thing's going to be hard to make happen, and the Chris Benoit thing, but whatever you got to do, book it.
We can make it happen. We can work around it.
Yeah, we'll find fill-ins or somebody that looks like Chris Benoit's kid looks enough like him. We'll just throw him in there. He'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So, okay, yeah. All right. Well, I was gonna throw one more pun in at Dodge, but he took off early, so I'm just gonna do it anyway. You know. Thank God you live in Denver, a city that deserves a world championship, unlike the Miami Heat.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh. Ouch.
Ouch.
I felt that one.
Yeah, I think the Heat felt that one too.
Love you, Dodge. And I'm sure you're going to run right to him as soon as this podcast is over with, Nathan. You got to listen to what Tony said.
No, he'll probably hear it later. I don't have to do that.
So go ahead and ask a question, Nate.
So, what, if any, has your experiences been with CSW?
I've only worked for CSW once, which was a couple months ago. Trying to remember what it was the Rumble, the Red Rock Rumble that they did, and I was in one spot there, and I entered, and I was immediately thrown out by Goody Floyd.
Gotcha.
Immediately. Like, I wasn't even in there for 5 seconds, which I'm glad though, because Major Glory was trying to avoid Big Gun's chops.
I could see that.
And of course, we all know who won that match. Just saying.
Yep.
Sorry,
the funny thing.
Sorry, Killian, you can cry all you want, but blatant, we seen your feet touch first. You lost.
Feet, his whole body hit the floor.
It's true.
See,
but I'm also not done with CSW though. I do have an upcoming event with them in July, so I will be back.
Ooh,
very nice. And what was interesting was we had Killian on 2 days after the Red Rock Rumble.
2 days after Panda, after we had Panda on a week after the Red Rock Rumble. Found out she won, so we made a big old sign for Panda, saying congratulations to the Red Rock Rumble winner, Pandemonium. It's Pandemonium Day, blah, 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 blah. And Killian goes, oh, well, where's my sign? The crybaby who lost the Red Rock Rumble.
Killian, what's up with that, man?
I'm still saying one of these days, Randy should put Killian in one of, the crybaby match that Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid were in the WWF.
Yep.
But if you're gonna cry that much about losing, put Panda up against Killian in a crybaby match, and we'll see what happens.
Well, you don't want to embarrass him that bad, though, do you? I mean, Panda's not going to lose that match.
I don't know. Big Money Don just tried to land Killian, so do I really want to embarrass him that bad?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
As much as he pitches at our girl Panda, yeah, we don't want to embarrass him that bad. But anyway.
Well, then I gotta say I'm glad that I'm on your guys' good side then, because it sounds like you guys are pushing for some pretty bad booking with some people.
Well, why don't you ask a
it's
final
all
question?
With love. So where can people find you on social media, and what's your next upcoming show?
They can follow me on Facebook. Just look up Major Glory, and you'll see this big Jay Leno chin. And most likely me with a flag. Then you could find me on Instagram at Major Glory 76, on Twitter at Major Glory 76, and I'm not really on YouTube, but I do have a YouTube channel that's at Major Glory 76 as well. So I typically on Facebook, you could reach me there. I do answer personal questions and messages and stuff. I'm always happy to meet people and talk, so feel free to reach out. Come join the conversation. My latest question was, what's your favorite 4th of July movie, or what kind of movies do you watch for the 4th of July?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Good question.
My favorite's Independence Day, just because I like the action movies.
Fair enough. Will Smith, the 1996 classic. Who could forget?
So before Tony asks his last question, I do want to mention that in about a year, tentatively, we're going to be doing our own promotion, which is IPW.
Okay.
And it'll be down here in Pullman, Washington.
Okay.
And I would love to have maybe Chase and Glory come down and wrestle at that if you guys are available. I can keep you updated.
Definitely keep me updated. I would love to come wrestle for you. That would be a blast.
Awesome. It's also going to be a benefit show for the Special Olympics.
Awesome. I'm definitely interested in doing stuff to help out people with benefit shows and charities in general, and definitely if it's helping Team USA.
That's right.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, Big Money Dodge is back. So, without further ado, hey, Big Money, Major Glory lives in Denver. You know, the home of the world champion Denver Nuggets.
You're doing that while he's in the chat? That was bad enough when he wasn't even on the stream.
It's true.
At least he lives in a city that deserves a championship.
That's true too.
Now, without further ado, our big main sponsor is Big Money Compound. That's right, Big Money Compound. As much as I dig on this man, I do love and respect this man. He is trying to get his own professional wrestling facility started in Pullman, Washington. That's right, the same place that Nathan and I will be trying to do our IPW show. But now I got to probably do a lot of ass kissing because I'm probably going to lose our facility. But anyways, starting in July, probably around the second or third week of July, online classes start on Tuesdays and Thursdays, $25 a session, $150 a month. And he's starting it out big, everybody. So his first online trainer is none other than a 20-plus year veteran, a man who has faced and defeated Rey Mysterio in the ring, Southern California native, SoCal Crazy. So check it out. $25 a week, $150 a month. You can find out all the information on Big Money Dodge on Instagram, Big Money Compound on Instagram, Big Money Dodge on Facebook, Big Money Dodge on Instagram, or just plain old Big Money Dodge on TikTok, the family app. You're welcome, Mikey O'Shea. Boom!
And now that we've gotten past the Big Money Dodge part of the show, we can go to the other sponsors, which is the CARE program, which stands for Community Action Reaching Everybody. And to get a hold of the person that's in charge of that, you can get a hold of Becky Bernhardt on Facebook. And Bruce Nichols Painting for all your painting, pressure washing, and lead removal needs. And you can find him on Andy's.
Oh, and I forgot one more very important place you can find Big Money Dodge on OnlyFans.
He is going to kill you. Dodge, if you're listening, this had nothing to do with me.
Hey,
or Major Glory.
Exactly. We're innocent in this whole thing.
I just read what's on the script, man. Anyways, so, and I forgot, one of our other major sponsors is Mr. T-Rex, another 20-year plus veteran in this industry who just recently retired as a referee. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a referee. But this referee has over 15,000 matches under his belts refereeing before he retired. So thank you, T-Rex, for sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we upset Big Money Dodge because he just left the chat.
Oh, he'll be fine. We'll buy him some pudding or something. He'll be all right.
So
some pudding.
We want to thank Major Glory for joining us tonight. It's been a blast, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
We will definitely keep you in mind for our promotion in the upcoming year.
Awesome.
Try to get you out of the state of Colorado and get you into a few other states.
Yep.
Awesome. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate that.
So go ahead, Nate. Anything else you want to say before we close this thing out?
Is it cool? Is it cool if I plug these shows that I have real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. On Sunday, this coming Sunday, you can find me on July 2nd at Primoz Valdez versus Bishop, live at the Roxy Theater in Denver, Colorado. Saturday, July 8th at BPW, Battleground Pro Wrestling, Divided We Brawl, live from the Greeley Rec Center. Saturday, July 22nd, I'll be at the CWC Trifecta as a trios with the Click, Frenchie, me, and Chase. We're going to be doing that live from Hillside Community Center. And then Saturday, July 29th, Major Glory is going to be back at CSW for America live from Sunshine Studios.
Very nice.
And on the end of the month at Marico, you'll also see the reigning, defending women's CSW champion Pandemonium, the reigning, defending CSW heavyweight champion of the world Type 1 Warrior, reigning, defending 719 champion Jack Dillon, and reigning, defending TikTok champion Carney. You're welcome.
I just have to throw one thing out there about the Type 1 thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this, but a couple months ago, Major Glory finished Type 1 off at a Primos event with his finishing move, and I'm pretty sure I could pin him again. I mean, that means I have one victory over the CSW champions, so that's one more than a lot more other people on the roster.
Mm-hmm. He did talk about that match too when we interviewed him. So.
He did.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was our first interview with him before he was champion.
Oh, okay.
There's two of them. There's one of them under his real name, and then there's one under Type 1 Warrior. So the Ray Schwarek one was Type 1 Warrior before we knew he was Type 1 Warrior.
Okay.
And that was the one that he mentioned you on. The CSW championship one was just talking about his championship, and I am the provider. So you have to go back to the very first one we had of him.
But Randy, when you listen to this, because he does listen to this, you need to book that match.
Major Glory versus Type 1?
Yes, for the CSW championship.
Well, he's got to get past his tag team partner first. So I'm just saying.
Niles Blood? Oh, man. I mean, I let Chase take care of my light work.
That's Type 1's first opponent. Actually, at America is Niles versus Type 1.
Oh, well, then maybe somebody's going to have to interfere to make sure that Type 1 goes over his championship so they can be in a certain match.
Hey,
Randy, book it.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. So, anyways, sounds like you had a pretty busy month of July. So, best of luck to you.
I do. Thank you.
We will try to watch on the live feed if they actually live feed America this time. We love the boys at help me, Nathan.
Spring to Action CSW.
Spring to Action. Love the boys there.
Yep.
Nathan actually got a birthday present and actually got to interview one of the boys.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, without further ado, thank you again, Major Glory, for joining us. It was a blast. You're welcome back anytime. Nathan, just because you were late today, man, you stink. You need your damn flea dip.
That's probably true.
So until next time, everybody, good night.
Good night.